Hi, and welcome to Sea Talk. Today we're talking to Chaz Chahal. Hi, Chaz, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. Very well.
Really cool. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us right just before Christmas. But we've had some exciting news coming along the wavelengths on Bestway. So I just wanted to find out what's your initial reaction?
It's been pretty positive. I think there's no reason for us to be look at it in a negative aspect. The last few years have been pretty quiet from the current Costcutter ownership, which is a BB group. As a Costcutter retailer, it's been quite a roller coaster. So I'll say last 5-6 years. So we're sort of we were maybe, if I was to be a bit cheeky, expecting a little bump. But there's been rumours for a while about the which direction Costcutter was going to head in terms of ownership, and let's see what the new ownership brings. Bestway are very successful in what they do, so I'm sure they've got some expertise, and let's see.
Great. And just if anyone's not familiar with your store, could you just tell us a little bit more about yourself and your store, please?
Sure. So I know Paul very well from a few years back, but I'm a Costcutter retailer. Been with Costcutter for 15 years. Got 3 sites. We also trade with Simply Fresh, and we're all trading in the Worcestershire area. So I've been with Costcutter from when we originally started with, which was a nicer supply deal, which then sort of migrated to and transitioned to the P&H bump in the road hiccup, should we say, for a few years, and then we're back with nicer again, and more recently with the co-op deal, which I think Costco and Co-op have signed a deal direct, and NISA supplied the goods to us.
Cool. So how important is the co-op own label brand to you right now?
I think having Co-op own label in store was a sort of a breaking down of the barriers, because up until now we had heritage own label, which is great, working well, but to have a recognized own brand in independent stores was was quite a moment. And I wouldn't say customers will travel across town to shop at our store. However, having an own label such as Co-op in store just enforces us probably a more bona fide product, a more quality product, and we've seen a sort of more confidence in our consumer.
Because you've got it in your store as well, haven't you, Paul?
Yeah. So I mean, I was like Chaz. So we was with Costcutter for crikey over 20 years. I think my dad was one of the very early adopters. He was the 41st member in Costcutter, so we've seen it grow. And then me and Chaz, we both grew on the Costcutter forum. So we was, when that we created it together. So there was a lot of changes going through at that time, but from what we had, a very, very good owner, which was Heritage, went into Co-op, and it's retained some of them shoppers now. So especially now with Christmas, we're managing to give all them treats to the shoppers where we wouldn't be able to do before. So we've got the cheese boards, we've got the various types of different meats, the joints, the snacks, the savouries, all throughout the store. So we're able to offer that experience, whereas before we weren't able to do that.
Yum. Making me hungry, by the way. Do you think that will give access to Bestway to some of that, do you think? Or do you think it will be lost?
Is that for me, Kate? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect that, because the supply chain that is set up to deliver to Costcutter stores is from the NISA depots. And now, unless obviously, I don't know what's in the actual contract, but unless Bestway members are signed up to a cost.
I have a feeling what might have happened is you had a call coming through. Are you okay?
Sorry about that. Yeah. So get back on track. So the question was, would Bestway members be able to get access to Co-op products? I don't think so, because all the products that Co-op supply Costcutter NISA members are all through the NISA depots. And I suppose unless the Bestway member signs up to the Costcutter group, you won't be getting direct supply. But that's my belief. Ultimately, a lot more detail will come out in the coming weeks and months.
And pharmacies have played a really big role with Bestway. They're famous for them. So, what role do you think they might play?
What, pharmacies?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. I don't think that there's a lot of although they're similar to convenience stores in one respect, that the customer facing, they get a lot of footfall. I don't think there's a lot of sort of cross synergies in that business. I know they're quite big in America to do that sort of that style of work. Who knows? But I know that Bestway did buy a lot of they bought a big group out of pharmacies, and they've disposed of quite a few and kept a core group, and which makes them one of the big, if the biggest independent pharmacy owner in the UK. But who knows? We followed a lot of American trends, haven't we, in the last few years in terms of the way the convenience market's going. So he used to say pharmacies won't be part of convenience stores going forward. It depends.
Do you think that will be a positive? Do you think that will be positive for you, Chaz? Because obviously, you haven't just got convenience stores; you've got pharmacies as well within the family business, haven't you? Do you think there would be something coming through for Bestway that could help you with your pharmacies as well? With now the bigger group, and it's about economies of scale, isn't it, with them?
Yeah, interesting, because I think the biggest part of the pharmacy scene that a lot of people may or may not know is how the licensing works. So unlike a convenience store where we can just open one next door to another one and so on, the pharmacy scene is restricted by the number of licenses granted. Now, not too long ago, the government did open up the whole marketplace where they allowed new pharmacies to open, but they had to trade for 100 hours a week, which is very similar to what we probably trade, a 14-hour day over a 7-day week. Whereas a standard pharmacy will normally trade for about 60 hours a week, like a 9 to 5, or like a 5.5 day week. But that was for a limited time only, I think for about, maybe a couple of years or 3 years. And that was probably to bring a bit of competition in the marketplace. But that's closed now for a few years. And the ones that did very well, but there's quite a lot of 100-hour pharmacies that are on for sale, because to be operating for that number of hours, and paying sort of pharmacy rates, means that it's a sort of a hard one to square, really.
So you still running the 3 convenience stores, and is it 2 pharmacies now, isn't it?
3, yeah, 3.
3 now, yeah.
It's a team effort. Obviously, I'm not a pharmacist. It's a family
within family, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, which is good. So how do you think the Bestway brand will fit now into with Costcutter? Do you think this will now become a tiering system within the group? Do you reckon it'll be good, better, best, or how do you reckon it'll play out?
Because you could foresee the sort of the bigger Bestway stores. So because if you view symbol retailing as a sort of different rungs of the ladder. So if you want to start symbol group, a lot of retailers independents who cash and carry regularly might join a lifestyle group or a Bestway group, and I think Best One, and I think they play a key role in getting retailers in a sort of a disciplined way of working, where you can put your regular orders in and sort of growing your sort of chilled range. But within any estate, you're going to get like I said, basic, good, and best. So I'm sure there's going to be a number of good operating Bestway retailers who will probably want to be joining Costcutter, and maybe Costcutter probably be knocking on their door saying, look, we're part of the same group, you could join. It could also be possible that similar to what BRP do in terms of Booker Premier members, Londis and Budget members having access to Booker cash and carries. Who knows, that could be a possible avenue as well for Costcutter retailers being able to shop at Bestway cash and carries and having their items billed on their central Costcutter invoicing. So I suppose, it's early days. I suppose the important part to say is that there was an announcement yesterday in-house to say that Costcutter and Co-op have extended their contract for the supply of goods to, by NISA. So that's really important for every Costcutter retailer knowing where we're going. Let's see what the future brings.
Because that could have been really nervous times between them 2 or 3 days from when the news broke on Friday to when you got your announcement yesterday, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So Friday the phone was sort of red hot from people within Costcutter and outside Costcutter as well, because everyone's sort of interested, because the sort of big moves in the industry. And even at that aspect, even at that time, then although initially it's like, oh wow, Bestway's bought it, because there were a lot of rumors about other potential buyers. It's a case of, let's see what comes out in the wash. Had a few chats, had a few chats with a few guys, and they say, look, just wait till maybe some more announcements. And like you said, it's very important that announcement came out, because even in the pipeline of recruitment, a lot of people would possibly be joining Costcutter. Actually, I know they would be joining Costcutter on the basis of having a cold pole label and a nicer supply. And if that was in jeopardy with Bestway thinking they can do things differently, then I'm sure a lot of people would be reconsidering their options.
And that's one good thing Costcutter have got now, haven't they? They've got a really good simplified version, haven't they? So simplification of terms came into Costcutter, and it helps the smaller retailer right up to the large scale retailer, doesn't it?
It does, and I think that's becoming more and more prevalent in the convenience sector, isn't it? Like what do they call it? Spend and save, or you sort of a tiered approach to, the more you spend, the more sort of you're rebated every. Costco 6 weeks, and I think some of the groups are maybe 10 weeks or every quarter. So because the last 2 years now with a nicer supply, Costco have been on solid ground and a good solid footing. There's no surprise that the figures, the sales figures have improved for Costco. This year's been good for everybody anyway, with in local. But it's been really good for Costco as a group to have a solid supply, and with another 5-year extension, that the 5-year future looks good.
Yeah, it does look good, and I think what Darcy's done, he's done a really good turnaround on that company. So it's utmost respect must be given to Darcy.
It ain't easy, is it? To be honest, to come in at a time when the Costco and Nisa relationship wasn't great, and then to sort of jump into the P&H contract, and it didn't work for you, and you made the right decision at that time. We sort of just about clung on, but we saw that rocky time through, and having an excellent chilled distribution and a supply chain like what Nisa provide is key for any sort of successful convenience store in today's world.
Wow, yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, big congratulations to Bestway, as obviously getting to work with great retailers like Chaz under the Costcutter umbrella. So lots of hope for lots of success for all retailers, Costcutter and Bestway. My 3-year-old is just moments away from me, so I might have to call this interview short here.
It's all right. You can bring Emma into the interview. It's always good.
Oh, okay. Come on then. Oh, she's okay. Anyway, so yeah, thanks for your time today. Anyway, and I really look forward to seeing what happens next.
No, nice to talk to you. It's been
Thanks, Paul. Speak to you later.
Cheers.
Thanks, Chaz.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you.